clip, we're going to see that I have my original stand design and I'm testing it downstairs in my home. You can see in this clip I am tearing down my original design, but I am trying to save that middle portion because I can reuse that in my new design. This thing's going to be running off of 10 power function battery packs and a power bank for the LEDs in the bottom of this. The big spaceship that's going to be on top of this stand. So as you can see, we got all the black panels on the sides for the most part. We got a little bit in the bottom left. There's going to be quite a few major design changes according to the last time it was seen. So welcome back to The Way of the Brick, and this is Jordan with a 6-foot massive spaceship that's also 2.5 feet wide. You have a full interior inside, as well as we have full lighting on the inside and with some of the outside features as well. So we're going to work ourselves from the front of the command bridge all the way back to the engines. So with the command bridge, the goal is to kind of get like a big trans dark blue like oval kind of shape from top to bottom. And overall this is about 2.5–3 feet tall. And we have lots of panels that open up. So on the top here we have a panel that opens. You can see some of where the LEDs are hidden actually. And then all these panels, these open up on both sides, and this allows you to access the command bridge interior. So if we could just simply grab this structure off of here, set that off to the side for the moment. We have kind of the piloting chair here, so we have lots of different controls on the sides, and you can change its elevation by using a flex tube in the middle to keep controlling the height. And otherwise this is what the chair looks like a little bit closer. So if we move the chair out of the way, you can be able to see some of the inside as well, with some of this very cinematic dark blue lighting as we get into the hallway section there. And in the back we have 2 sliding doors, which we can get to a little bit later, and you can see some troops just barely in the background. Otherwise, we have some nice textured walls here using snot bricks and tile repeatedly to get this nice pattern. And we have some nice sloping around the edges in the interior with some very nice texture using some of these sand green elements here. So, otherwise we have the same thing on the bottom, except the bottom is used to actually hide some Mindstorms functions. So this is before they updated the Mindstorm system from the EV3, which is what the alien cruiser is using, to the new system with just the general Mindstorms. So this actually has 4 motors inside of it, which I could show. You can see I'm using 4 EV3 medium motors, and then the Mindstorms brick is actually able to get in there, and then I'll show this later, but these laser cannons, these will actually spin around, and they actually also have lights inside of them. So as we move on from the command bridge area here, we can kind of go to the top here. We have lots of nice textured details. Because the main color scheme of this obviously is sand green, and then with these hints of dark gray and light gray throughout, they add kind of a mechanical feel to this kind of organic shape here. And then of course we have the highlights of the trans dark blue, which is one of my favorite touches because you get to use lots of older elements. For example, like this 10x10 octagonal base. It's a really old piece, and same with these on the hallway, except they're hexagonal. And they're some of my favorite pieces in this build actually. So as we kind of get to the side view here, we kind of get to see the arc that these panels make. If I can close this again. There we go. So I wanted kind of like a curved front to the ship, which makes it very unique compared to my other ones, which more come to a point or a big circle. But this one has a nice curvature to it. And the hallway also has some interior to it. So you can see more of the trans dark blue lighting I've hidden in the ceiling. And we have some troops on the inside here. So we have an alien drone and one of my Earth people, and they're kind of making a small little battle there. And then this is where the door is on the inside. And for the interior, I wanted to make it easily playable. You easily reach your hand in there. This is a closer look at the drone. So we have a comically sized alien blaster. You know, the head that can rotate up and down and side to side. And then he has like a little booster to move himself around. But I used a minimal amount of studs using the 1x4 modified tiles. And then using tiles around it to get the detail. It just gets it a nice playable look so you can place down the minifigs, but also it looks good at the same time. And so for these windows, I used a cool technique of using some arches on the sides to get the border on the inside. As you can kind of see. It's hard to see on camera, but in person, it's much easier to see through these windows. But we're gonna move on to the next panel, which these keep on opening up here across the middle. So these just fold open like this. And this is where the antennas and communications are on the ship to the quite larger interior than the hallway. So we have some more drones, and we have an interesting floor pattern here using the kind of like pentagon plates. And then on the wall, this is another one of my favorite details in the interior. I'm using the arches to make a circle. And then I'm using lots of droid arms and clips to get some interesting kind of wall details here. To represent some of the power supply or energy that's going through the ship to power these lights. And then we have two corridors off to the left and to the right. And we have a boarding ramp in the middle that moves up and down. And then if we get to the other side here, you can see where some of the lights are coming from, where these trans dark blue 1x1 bricks are coming in at an angle. So if we close this one back up, and you can see how easily I'm lifting these up and down, as I made these little like knobs to easily lift up and down. They're very structurally sound, but also aesthetically pleasing. And then now we're past the hallway section here, and we have lots of nice angling in this section as well. The transition between a longer and skinnier kind of proportion to a much wider and much more angled look to it in the back. As you can see, lots of nice sloping in here, as well as incorporating some greebling along the way. And in these bigger chunks, where it's mostly one color from afar, but if you look closer, I've included some intentional lines of darker gray or sand green very deep in there, just to give it a more textured look. And you can see I've also included stripes of gray at certain angles, so it's not just one big blob of color. But as we go up this angle here, we're gonna get to the sides shortly here, but we're gonna keep on going along the top. So we have 6 big laser cannons here. So this alien cruiser is heavily armed and ready for battle. So these panels, this is the big hinge right there in the middle. And in the middle here, we have the entrance to the boarding ramp from those previous hallway corridors on the left and the right. So this is where the ramp is in the middle. It's just hard because of the lighting on the inside with the blue in the camera, but that's the middle there. And for the wiring, I ended up trying to hide it off to the side just so it's kind of out of the way. And this panel can actually lift completely out. So we lift this entire thing off. I'll go over some more of these details in a moment on top of the panel. But here's the rest of the interior. So in the bottom here, you can see highlights of trans dark blue lighting, as I'm using some flexible elements with hints of blue on them to give them, and they'll look like their engine cooling systems for the ship. And overall, we have lots of cool interior greebling. So I tried to keep a very nice and textured feel for the inside, but there's a very nice and large opening so that you can always play around inside of the ship with making different battle scenes or different fun poses on the inside, as all of my spaceships have interiors, at least the bigger ones like this. We have kind of a cooler alien here on the inside with some trans neon green legs, so it looks like he's glowing on the inside when the lights are on. Otherwise, we have some smaller rooms off to the sides. This is meant to be more of like a storage room, because after all, this is the alien cruiser, so this is more meant to carry around different passengers, but also be a very secure spaceship for when in battle. And if we go into the back here, we have another section that leads from the bigger room in the back there into this middle corridor into the engine room here. And I try to include a lot of those same greebling details on the walls as I did in this big room here. And let's see if I can get an interior shot into that hallway the best I can here. But yeah, it's just hard to see with the camera, but you can get your hands in here pretty easily to be able to play with the minifigs. So that's most of the interior here. And now we're just gonna look back over onto the sides of the ship now. So on the sides here, I really wanted to experiment with some different lighting. So you can see like these very slight trans dark blue lines on the sides in between all of the greebling. And I tried to put lights through there to really emphasize the organic feel of the ship. It really helps with that. Besides all of these mechanical details like these dishes, some of these sand green telescopes, and lots of different opposing curvatures to create this very textured look I have here. And this panel is actually on a big hinge. This is all diagonal. It's not flat necessarily. So I really tried to create different angled looks with this. And as we go to the middle here, so I knocked over one of the laser cannons while I was walking on the side here, but these actually have lights inside of them as well. And you're still able to rotate these around. And these are a very fun challenge to make because the light had to go through a one stud wide area there. And overall, I'm very happy with the look of this one. And also we have more of the standard laser cannons on the middle panels. And then we have another one on the bottom that has a light in it. And these laser cannons that have lights in them, I am going to eventually program them for when physical conventions happen again. So they'll be very fun during World of Lights. So then as we work our way to the back section here, we have more of the angled paneling with the trans dark blue lines and opposing curvatures. And then we have a very cool section of the engines here. You can see I'm using lots of ratchet joints to make the circles here. And then lights are shining through on these trans dark blue lines that help these lines stand out a lot more on the ship. And then they have some handlebar greebling details all around. Now, not all of the engine lights are on at the moment, so I'm going to show you how it looks without the lights on, which looks very good without them on. But these get insanely bright with the lights on. So, I just grab a battery quick. And you can see up on the top here, I've hidden a lot of the wires. But for when the panel comes off, they're very easy to access. So now you can see a very large difference in all of these here. So I have 8 LEDs wrapped around the interior circle here, which really makes these old, I think, insectoid series dishes come from, which makes it really, really cool, I think. And this middle engine here, this also detaches so I can access the main battery, which is actually motorized to drive out, because the battery pack is actually about this far into the ship, which is at least over 1.5 feet, maybe 2 feet. So being able to drive it out to access the battery pack is something that's critical, which I'll get to that in a moment. But on the sides of these engines here, I do have some more smaller laser cannons here, and then packed in with some nice greebling. On the bottom half, we have lots more LED work. So we have some more like life support pods on the bottom, all which have their own LED lighting, which makes them pop a lot more. And we continued the curvature over to the bottom of the ship. And in the back, helping protect the engines, we do have another laser cannon. Can't hurt to have another laser cannon on a big spaceship. So, now we're gonna take this engine off here. So I can just set the camera down here just for a moment. So you should be able to see how I take this off here. So with this engine, these are all held on with a single Technic axle. So the engine will pop off, and I'll come with all the different wires on the inside. And then you can see on the inside here, kind of my cluster of wires where all the lights hook up to and the battery pack there. So there's a switch in here connected to a motor that will actually drive that out. Then in the front here, we're going to look at the laser cannons again. And you can see that each of the barrels has 4 LEDs on the inside to light up that train's dark blue there on both sides here. And it really makes these look really cool. Especially as these are going to be programmed as well to flash on and off as if they're actually firing upon an enemy fleet or something like that. So that's the front laser cannons. And then lastly, we'll go over the panel that I took off of the top here. So, you can see this was the panel that hinges in the front. Then we have a double hinged panel here in the back. In the back here has 4 laser cannons. And then in the middle, we have tons of greebling on this as well. But we have power generators here, using some of these clips and little wrenches to get some of the greebles, as well as lots of communication or radar dishes for scanning or other purposes like that. And we have 6 of those on the top here. Well, as we
Tried to make it very textured and greebled on the top, especially with these pieces here, which are very unique, which are 1.5 studs kind of wide, which make a very odd pattern, but it really works in this case for the greebling.